Cut my socks into pieces. Remove the black check mark. Suffocation, no breathing. Too much smoke cause my sneakers are burning. Remove the black check mark. Cut my socks into pieces. Remove the black check mark. Masturbation as eating. Want my gym socks. Now I gotta do cleaning. Teaching them a lesson about virtue signaling. Would it be wrong? Would it be right? If I toss my shoes tonight, make some s'mores, that'd be tight. Nike can go fly a kite. Companies committing suicide. Cause I'm losing my stocks, losing my shoes. Me being barefoot isn't fake news. Losing my socks, losing my shoes. Now I'm like a hobbit with nothing to lose. Remove the black check mark.
There it is. That's called Cut My Socks into Pieces by Redbox. Fuck it.
Yeah, I see a promising future ahead.
You like that track?
Yeah.
I worked hard on that track.
Yeah, that was that was amazing.
It's an earworm.
Now, where did you, people are doing this, right? They're cutting up their socks.
They are doing it, yeah.
They're lighting shoes on fire?
Yeah,
was that actual footage?
Yeah. No, the footage of the cut, that was some random shit that I found. I should say this too. I stole that joke. Like, I was on Twitter and there was a tweet that was like, it said, "Cut my socks into pieces. This is my last resort," in all caps.
Uh-huh.
And I laughed at that and I kept thinking about it. And I was like, what if there was more? What if there were more lyrics?
So this was a collaborative effort, you would say?
It was me and whoever the fuck wrote that tweet. That I get the inception of that was not my idea. I have to give credit where credit is due. Ironically, I have no fucking idea who that was. So
anonymous person out there who did that, thank you. We appreciate it.
But they are, setting shoes on fire. The sock cutting thing was just some random shit that I found on YouTube just to throw in there because whatever. Because minimal effort went into that. Don't think that that took like fucking less than an hour to do.
That's the name of our that's the name of our lifestyle. Yeah. Minimal effort.
We should have called the podcast Minimal Effort. But there's some still images of people. There was a video that was going around. Somebody set their fucking their shoes on fire.
I've heard about that.
Can we just start with like maybe just how dumb that is? Just as a form of fucking protest.
You've already bought the shit. If you bought first off. Welcome everybody to the 6th episode of
right. We should say that. Thank you.
Ad-free radio.
Guys.
I'm Pussy, joined by your boy Jabroni Mike.
That's right. Let me introduce myself. I'm not a fucking.
Why you introduce me in every goddamn episd? Why can't I introduce you for once?
Is that really how it's going?
I think so.
So every previous episode, I introduced you, and
you say hello, Pussy, and it's that stupid old joke. Anyway, go ahead, introduce yourself.
It's too late now.
All right, fine, whatever. So you buy sneakers.
Ruined it.
I ruin everything. You buy sneakers, all right?
Yeah.
And now you decide that for whatever reason, because this commercial came out, well, we're going to show the commercial. Okay, let me back up a little bit. This is a special episode of Ad-Free Radio. We're only going to be doing this one commercial.
This is an emergency episode because we saw this going on, and we both got pretty pissed.
Yeah.
And we figured, like, it would be better to address this thing sooner rather than later. Like, what we typically do, where, like, we wait fucking 2 months after the fact, like we did with the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like, why don't we just fucking address it while it's actually a thing that people give a shit about?
Yeah, absolutely. We're trying to be timely with this one. Yeah. So actually, what is today's date? It's
September 8th.
Today's the 8th. We're recording this on the 8th. So let's see.
I'm gonna try to publish this Saturday.
Yeah, let's see.
So 1 week from today.
Let's see when this comes out, because typically we'll record something and it'll be out.
So I have to edit
in a month
it
or
and
two.
Masturbate and everything.
Yeah, so Jabroni Mike needs to rub his salami tits all over OBS and his keyboard. I don't understand why he was talking about something about grease and interface. I don't know. I'm not the tech guy here. I'm not the tech person here. But anyway, there's a really controversial commercial that's out right now. And when we originally thought of the format of this podcast, we thought, well, commercials are stupid. We hate them. We want to make fun of them. They irritate us. We want to make fun of them and talk about it. But with this type of commercial, it's called Dream Crazy by Nike. It's gotten such a reaction, and it's only been out it's only been publicized for about like 3 or 4 days. I think it came out online on Wednesday and it aired live on Thursday during the season premiere of the NFL.
Basically, the feeling was if we didn't react to this like everybody else is, then like what the fuck? What are we doing here?
Why are we doing this podcast?
It's called ad-free radio. We talk about commercials. We're not going to talk about the fucking biggest commercial that everybody's fucking. So. Yeah, whatever. Do you want to show the fucking commercial?
Yeah, let's show the commercial.
We're going to show the commercial right now. If you haven't seen it, it's called Dream Crazy with Colin Kaepernick, and it's from Nike, and it's fucking stupid. Roll it!
If people say your dreams are crazy, if they laugh at what you think you can do, good. Stay that way. Because what non-believers fail to understand is that calling a dream crazy is not an insult. It's a compliment. Don't try to be the fastest runner in your school or the fastest in the world. Be the fastest ever. Don't picture yourself wearing OBJ's jersey. Picture OBJ wearing yours. Don't settle for homecoming queen or linebacker. Do both. Lose 120 pounds and become an Ironman after beating a brain tumor. Don't believe you have to be like anybody to be somebody. If you're born a refugee, don't let it stop you from playing soccer for the national team at age 16. Don't become the best basketball player on the planet. Be bigger than basketball. Believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything. When they talk about the greatest team in the history of the sport, make sure it's your team. If you have only one hand, don't just watch football, play it at the highest level. And if you're a girl from Compton, don't just become a tennis player. Become the greatest athlete ever. Yeah. That's more like it. So don't ask if your dreams are crazy. Ask if they're crazy enough.
And we're back. That was Dream Crazy by Nike. For those of you who may not know, it is a very controversial commercial because of the involvement of the narrator. His name's Colin Kaepernick. If this commercial was exactly the same, but it was narrated by someone else, it would have a completely different feel to it. I'm talking about change nothing. Change none of the words, none of the dialogue. Just the fact that he's in there is the reason why this commercial is setting the internet on fire right now.
I want to say that I saw the fucking, not only is it setting the internet on fire, it's setting a bunch of like totally innocent shoes on fire as well. And when I saw all that shit going on, I'm like, holy fuck, this commercial must have been like insane.
Yeah.
Because I fucking only saw it for the first time today.
They must be recruiting for ISIS or Al Qaeda or something.
No, this was my fucking exact thought. That what I actually wanted to say to you was when I see them setting their shoes on fire, I'm like, all right, so this commercial, it's like, what is he? Just look in the camera and say, fuck America? I'm Colin Kaepernick and fuck America. Just do it. Fuck America. Fuck America right in the ass. Fuck it. Allahu Akbar. Fuck America. Just do it. I'm like, that must be the contents of the fucking commercial for people to be fucking freaking out like this. Uh-huh. And I watch it, and is it me, or is it like barely political at all?
It's the only way that it's political.
It involves him.
Is that it involves him.
Right.
That is it.
There was a woman in a burqa, but Coca-Cola did that too.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing, Mike. For everybody, okay, I did.
But before you think we're going in a direction where we're going to defend Nike, no, just keep listening, because there's a lot to hit here.
Well, all of those people who were featured in that commercial, most of them are professional athletes. Some of them are amateur athletes. All of them have deals with Nike in some regard,
and they're sport people.
They're athletes.
Yeah.
I have a list of most of the people who were in there. the burqa wearing lady, her name is give me 1 second.
I don't think that's a burqa, actually. I think
It
that's
is. Nike made that. That's an athletic burqa.
So wait a minute.
Oh, no. Hijab. Not a burqa. Hijab.
Because burqa is the full body thing.
Well, she wears a full body thing when she's boxing. She's a professional boxer. She's a German boxer. What the hell is her name? Give me 1 second.
Yeah, be able to pronounce that shit.
No, Zaina Nasser.
All right.
Zaina Nasser, that's her name. She's apparently a professional boxer in
I was
Germany.
hoping her name would be more complicated, and I would get to watch you fucking struggle a little bit.
Yeah, well,
kind of disappointed.
Yeah, I'm sure there's plenty. Okay, well, I'll try another one. There's this guy. One of them is a runner. Another athlete in the commercial is a runner, and his name is Eliud Kipchoge. This is what you. Okay, right there.
Eliud Kipchoge.
Eliud Kipchoge. Eliud.
No, Choge. I'm not gay, Choge.
Wheelchair basketball player Megan Blanc. Charlie Jabale. Sorry, Charlie. You're the Iron Man. Alicia Wolcott. And my personal favorite, the child wrestler, Isaiah Bird, the 10-year-old's born with no legs, just fucking tearing it up on the fucking mats.
That was cool to see that.
Yeah. You know what? There's actually a lot of amputee. I don't want to say a lot of amputee. Well, first off, he's not an amputee.
How do you grapple without legs? He's doing it, you know.
Okay, he was born with no legs. He's not an amputee as far as I know. But there's also a Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy out there who has no arms.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I swear
Pussy
to
loves
God.
Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
I love grappling in general. You know, wrestling, amateur wrestling, the Olympic wrestling, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, judo, fight sports in general.
Do you usually love seeing people fucking hit each other?
Well, they don't hit each other when grappling, Michael. But yes, I do like to see people
I like to see people inflicting pain on other people.
Yeah. So that's a list of most of the people who's in the commercial besides Colin Kaepernick. He's the only controversial figure in the commercial.
Yeah.
Now, what I was hoping we could do is maybe there's some people out there, you don't know why he's controversial. You never heard of him before. Maybe you saw the commercial, you didn't know who he was, and you thought this is just why is everybody flipping out? Who is this man? What did he do?
Especially if you don't follow sports, there's a pretty. I mean, it was fucking all over the place, and then fucking president had to fucking get involved and tweet about it because
he didn't have to get involved.
No, he fucking and he didn't help with any of this fucking shit.
So for those of you out there who might not know too much about him, what we want to do is maybe give you a little bit of a rundown. We really need to contextualize who this man is, what's going on with Nike, what's going on with the NFL, and why everybody is now setting fucking shoes on fire as a result of it. So Colin Kaepernick was first drafted into the NFL by the San Francisco 49ers in 2011. That's the year that he first got his endorsement deal with Nike as well. He was drafted as a quarterback. That's his position. He was going to be a backup quarterback player. 2012 was his most successful year on the field. He started a few games as the quarterback.
What's a quarterback do?
Quarterback is the man who throws the ball.
To like other people.
To other people.
Like across the long boy. They call that the long boy. Because he throws long.
He throws long or short or passes or whatever. But he's the only one who, well, yeah.
He's the long boy on the field.
He's a captain of the field.
Hot 51, 52,
He's the Kaepernick.
That's what he does.
The
Kaepernick. So 2012 was his most successful year on the field because he got the starting position and he managed to bring his team all the way to the Super Bowl. They wound up not winning the Super Bowl that year, but they came close. So, that was a cap in his feather. In between...
You mean he was like a feather in his cap? Or were you making like a Kaepernick pun?
Well, I'm going to go with the Kaepernick pun. I'm going to go with that one.
Good move. That's what I would have done.
Now, fast forward to the most controversial aspects. It comes in 2016.
Yeah.
In 2016, during the preseason of the NFL, Kaepernick decided that he wasn't going to stand for the national anthem when it was played. He wasn't going to salute the flag. He decided that he was going to remain sitting. And this
kneeling.
no, sitting at first, sitting.
All right.
So he was sitting at first, and this was eventually after like 2 or 3 games of doing this, people got wind of it, and then they started asking, reporters asked him like, "Yo, what are you doing?" And he was like, "Oh, fuck you." No, he didn't say yo.
He's Gamby now.
He's got maybe
He's got his Gambesque tendencies.
Gambernick. No, so Colin, he basically said
afro.
he does have the afro. Yeah, I mean Gamby's got the afro going on too. But okay, we got to stop with the Gamby references to this guy because they're really not the same person at all. So Colin Kaepernick stated that he was sitting during the national anthem because he couldn't respect. He didn't want to stand and honor a country when he felt that people of color were systematically oppressed by. In the United States. They weren't free. And he specified the biggest problem he had with it was police brutality. So that opened up that area.
So here's what I wanted to ask you. Patriotism. Mm-hmm. I mean, what do you think that means today? Like to you, because that's what this is. That's the heart of this fucking thing.
Well, patriotism.
Is he being unpatriotic in this, this form of protest that he's not going to stand for the national anthem? Do you think, like, what the fuck, like, what is patriotism in 2018?
Patriotism, I could tell you the definition of patriotism, the actual dictionary definition of patriotism. I have to paraphrase. I don't have it memorized, but it's about...
How do you not have it memorized?
You're
useless.
It's a loyalty to one's country or a love for one's country. And my argument is this. Exercising a human right does not equate to loving or being loyal to a country that claims to legally protect such human rights.
Because there are people that would say that that is patriotism. He is being patriotic in doing this, in that he's seeing a problem with the country that he loves, okay? And maybe if he didn't give a shit about the country, he'd stand there and pretend that there wasn't a problem or whatever. And this act of not standing for the anthem is his way of being patriotic by saying that there's a problem and I'm trying to bring attention to it because I want to fix it because I actually care about the country. That's the kind of gist of the whole fucking thing.
Yeah, it's an argument. It's a good argument. People have been making that. This is one of those situations where I think there's no right or wrong answer. But if you ask personally how I feel, again, I would say that if you're exercising a human right that's protected by a government, that is supposedly protected by a government, it doesn't mean that you are necessarily devoted to that government. Some people would say that is patriotism. Other people say it's not. Where do I personally stand on the fence? It's whatever.
Do you consider yourself patriotic?
Some days, but I don't consider myself patriotic in the same sense that Colin Kaepernick would consider himself patriotic if he does, which I don't think he's ever said he does.
You think this is like attention whoring?
It could be. It definitely could be. But he feels like there's a problem, and he feels like he has a platform to address the problem, and he wants to. And if people are saying that's patriotic what he's doing or it's not patriotic what he's doing, I mean, who the fuck knows? You don't know what he really thinks. He might actually hate the United States of America because he thinks that he does think that it's absolutely 100% racist. He thinks that racism is, I want to paraphrase him at an Amnesty International speech that he gave earlier this year. He said that, racism was woven into America's fabric.
That's true. I mean, that's hard to argue with that.
It is hard to argue with it, but does that make you resentful of the country that you were born into, or does it make you say, "Hey, let's fix this country"? I don't know. We couldn't possibly know what's in his head.
I consider myself patriotic. Well, I generally did. I do. I think I mean, it's like this. I had a good life in this country, generally, relatively. That might not reflect other people's experiences or whatever. Maybe it's the situation I was born into, skin color and blah, blah, blah. But, I have traveled and I've seen other parts of the world, where shit's kind of rougher. I think I appreciate America. I'm not sitting here saying America's perfect, it's the best country in the world. You know, patriotism is probably one of those things where, you know, you can fucking go crazy with it. You could go to that extreme where, you know, you're so pro-America. But then again, who's really like that? Because everything is so divisive these days along party lines and shit.
Well, that's the thing. You have to ask yourself, with regards to patriotism, what is your idea of patriotism? And it's going to run.
I'm trying to figure that out right now. I don't know.
It runs. Okay, the definition of patriotism, like I said, is a devotion to one's country, a loyalty to one's country, or a love for one's country.
I would do something to protect America if I could.
The way it is, well, we are. We're making ad-free radio.
Great point. Great point.
We're protecting America.
We're doing it right now.
Fuck yeah, man. No,
this is patriotism, baby.
I think so. I think the cultural understanding of patriotism right now, or the political understanding of patriotism right now, is you have to follow that party line, that either right-wing understanding of patriotism or the left-wing understanding of patriotism. They play out very differently, and there will be parties on both sides that say, I actually do love this country, but they express that love in different ways and point the finger at the other person. Now, is that what Kaepernick's doing, or is he like a Black Panther or a Black Liberation Army type of person who was born in this country and absolutely hates it? You don't know.
You don't know. Yeah,
and he's not going to say that because he's got fucking millions of dollars. He has an endorsement deal with Nike. He's not going to jeopardize his other career.
Pussy. But he sacrificed everything.
Well, yeah.
That's what it says in the commercial.
All right. When reporters in 2016 during the preseason games, after a couple games where he sat down and didn't stand up for the national anthem, he didn't salute the flag, reporters asked him, and he was talking about black and brown oppression in the United States, mass incarceration, and most specifically, police brutality against those communities. What happened next was there's a very interesting individual. Everybody should look this guy up. He became friends with Kaepernick as a result of this. He was a fellow NFL player and a former Green Beret. His name is Nate Boyer, and he had a conversation with Kaepernick because he didn't agree with Kaepernick, and he was also in the NFL. So the two met. They came to a mutual understanding, and Boyer convinced Kaepernick to at least kneel, because he said that kneeling is a sign of reverence towards the military. And this is how Kaepernick went from sitting down to kneeling during the national anthem. And Kaepernick apparently has no problem with the military.
Right, his beef wouldn't specifically be with like the military. It would be with the police forces around the country. Do you know who John Tron is? John Jafari?
No.
The fucking YouTuber. He was a guy, I think it was like last year or 2 years ago. He was on a podcast actually, and he was talking about, he fucking like video game YouTuber. And he was like, well, the crime statistics, you know, they're real, and just it's a fact that black people are prone to commit more crimes or something. I don't know if he said that, but everybody interpreted it that way. I think he was might have just been trying to point out the fact that there's statistics to show that there's increased crime in these communities, hence the increased police presence. Now, I don't think it's because black people are fucking inherently more prone to crime or violence or something like that. My point is, say if you go to Eastern Europe or something, you go to like Ukraine or whatever, you find a city and you go to like the poorest area of that city, the crime statistics are probably going to look the same. And there's nobody of African descent there, right? This is to do with fucking people feeling really hopeless. Because of the history of the US, they tend to be black, right? Because we had slavery and all that. And yeah, I guess it's hard to, rebound from that. And when you're sitting around and you're looking at the state of the country and your community at large, and you feel like there's no hope of upward mobility or anything like that, you probably will start to feel really hopeless. So really what it comes down to is the fucking economic problems and in my opinion, wealth inequality.
It could be.
Is that the real fucking heart of this?
Look, I'll say this.
I'm not saying socialism is the answer. I'm not saying we got to elect Bernie fucking Sanders, but I'm saying that anybody who wants to sit there and take, anything that I just said and say that it's racist is a person that, in my opinion, isn't really concerned with improving the conditions of those people's lives in those communities.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you were, you'd listen to that and you'd be like, all right, so if that's the case and these statistics are fucking like real and not made up, instead of sitting there and saying that's fucking racist and pretending that's not the issue, you'd say, okay, why is that like that? How can we start addressing that? Because up until that point, anything that you do outside of that is just addressing the symptoms of this and not the actual disease itself. And I do think that it goes back to, wealth inequality, income inequality.
There's a lot of people out there that would agree with you. I mean, a lot of one big perspective of the left obviously is going to talk about wealth inequality. They're going to talk about, the way that capitalism affects these communities. But another argument is the war on drugs. The war on drugs plays a big role in the idea of mass incarceration in this country. And mass incarceration is one of the things that Colin Kaepernick's talking about. Yeah. So to get back to the timeline real quick, and we'll revisit this when we can, Nate Boyer convinced Kaepernick in the 2016 season to kneel instead of to sit, in reverence to the military, while continuing to demonstrate against police brutality and against mass incarceration. Also in 2016, Colin Kaepernick, he hooked up with Harry Belafonte, who had a charitable nonprofit organization who fiscally sponsored Colin Kaepernick to create the Colin Kaepernick Foundation and the Know Your Rights camp. March of 2017, Kaepernick opted out of his contract with the 49ers, which was apparently valued at over $100 million, by the way.
Jesus.
Yeah. He opted out of that. He wanted to go somewhere else. Apparently, he wasn't happy with the 49ers even before the entire national
sacrificing everything.
Even before that happened. He wasn't drafted by any other team that the subsequent season, so he filed a labor grievance against the NFL, basically a lawsuit, accusing the administration and the team owners of colluding against hiring him. This is an arbitration process falling under the sports labor agreement, and Kaepernick stands to win double what he would have earned if he had played. So this is ongoing. We'll see where this winds up eventually. March of 2018, the Nike and the NFL extend their apparel deal through 2028. Also, sometimes around then, Kaepernick and Nike extended their endorsement deal, which was the impetus of this Dream Crazy commercial. Nike is going to produce new Kaepernick apparel and will also donate money to his Know Your Rights camp. Kaepernick's deal has the potential to rival the value of other NFL players. And also, 2018 is the 30th year anniversary of Nike's Just Do It slogan, so fucking Nike's going all out with this advertising campaign. April 2018, Colin Kaepernick receives an award from the Amnesty International. It's a big public event. You can watch the video of his speech on YouTube if you want to get a better understanding of, his politics. May of 2018, the NFL ruled that players should stay in the changing room rather than protest on the field, and that teams are going to be fined for any infractions. And that brings us up to date to now. September 6, 2018, Nike's Dream Crazy ad plays during the opening game of the NFL season. So that brings us up to speed. That's who Colin Kaepernick is. That's why he's controversial. That's why this commercial came out. And everybody's setting the fucking internet on fire because they think he's anti-white, anti-police, and other people think that he's a hero of social justice. And the truth probably lies somewhere in between, as it usually fucking does. But this opens up a lot of questions about him, about what's going on, about Nike. Where do you want to start?
I should say this. Do I think that there's racist cops running around hating and shooting black people because they're black? I think that there's gotta be some. They gotta be out there. They have to be out there. These people are real. And I don't think it's all fucking fantasy. But I feel like, I see so much effort and energy put into like that aspect of it. And it's like not enough put into, like I said, addressing the root of just the fact that people are fucking unhappy. People are fucking unhappy. People are fucking broke. You got you see it fucking in the news about Jeff Bezos making something like fucking $28,000 every 30 seconds or some shit, which we'll get back to eventually. It's like I see people kind of, like with the protesting and the Black Lives Matter and all that, and it feels like, to me, again, not addressing the root of the problem. There's something that is like in the middle of that all of these other things are stemming from. And it gets to me, it's almost, it sort of feels like you got people exploiting these tragedies for kind of like political reasons or personal fucking advancement reasons.
Yeah.
It's like, what was the thing with the Black Lives Matter? Like the two the people that were in charge of it at one point were like found embezzling funds from the charity or some shit. What was that about?
I couldn't tell you. I've heard something along the lines of that. It might have been somewhere up in Canada. There's so many Black Lives Matters chapters. It's not an organization. It's not a singular organization where you go to the headquarters and you join up. They have local chapters that just crop up out of nowhere. It's a name that's associated with money.
I think the majority of those people that definitely mean well, but I think that they're being, I don't know. I think that I see the fucking bullshit in everything and everybody. I become very cynical, and I see everybody and I assume the worst. And I feel like they've become very good at just kind of manipulating people. Well, and saying like, oh well, come and do this, and really, there's an ulterior motive in a lot of that stuff. That's what I think.
What the big thing that Colin Kaepernick talks about with regards to police is lack of accountability. We want police held accountable. They're never held accountable. They shoot people, black people, unarmed black people with impunity, and they get away with it. Racism exists. There are some racist cops out there who will kill black people because they're either scared of them implicitly or because, hey, maybe they just fucking hate them. They come from a heritage of hate. But where, in my perspective, Kaepernick's claims of police accountability fail is that police actually, they are held accountable. When something goes down like this shooting between a cop and a black person, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a white cop either. There's plenty of instances where there's black cops or Asian cops involved or Hispanic cops involved. The thing with
especially in New York, where we have a very, very diverse police department here.
New York definitely has a diverse police department. But, I think it was the Freddie Gray thing in Baltimore that there were 6 cops who were arrested and indicted. I think half of those cops were black. It's not a racial issue on the police side. It's a racial issue with regards to who the victims are. So you see, there's already like a little bit of a disconnect in the logic to begin with. But anyway, they say that there is no police accountability. But there is. When these cops get into these situations, they have to face internal trials by their own agencies to determine whether they did something illegal, they violated procedure or protocol. They get indicted by the feds on civil rights charges. They get indicted on criminal felonies and misdemeanors. They get arrested. They face grand juries, they face trials, they face prosecutors, their faces get plastered all over the fucking news, their reputations get smeared, they often lose their jobs, regardless of whether they're found guilty or not, because they just can't fucking continue doing what they're doing. Sometimes the charges are dropped against them because the city or the state or whoever reaches a settlement with the victims' families. Sometimes there is enough evidence to find them guilty and send them to prison. Recently, I looked it up. Recently, Roy Oliver was sentenced to 15 years in prison for shooting Jordan Edwards. He's a cop. Before that, in December, Michael Slater was sentenced 20 years in prison for shooting Walter Scott. He's a cop. People who say, these people who say that police aren't held accountable, they're not really, they're wrong. They are held accountable. And it seems to me that realistically, those who are calling for accountability, they're more upset with the length of the legal process. And
it takes too long.
It takes too long, and they're upset when the outcome doesn't result in a cop going to prison. That's the two things. When these activists seem to say they want accountability, number one, they want in and out. They want the trial and all the charges to be filed fucking in a week, 2 weeks. They want everything settled, and they want that fucking cop in jail. And you want to know something? There's plenty of other instances outside of shootings where police go to fucking prison on racketeering charges, prostitution shit,
There's
drugs,
bad cops.
drug shit.
Bad cops
There's
up the
bad
ass.
cops.
Yeah,
and they go to prison. So when these activists say, "Oh, we want police accountability," it's like, well, what do you really want? You want every time someone points the finger at a cop, not for there to not be actual legal process involved, no actual due process, and you want them fucking in jail immediately.
I'm saying I'd like to see more of the focus put on trying to, resolve the wealth inequality thing, because I think that's like I said, the core of all of these problems that these people are trying to address. And I think part of the reason that they're not addressing it is maybe because they have fucking ulterior motives, but it's income inequality. And you know who has actually contributed quite a bit to that issue?
Who?
Well, Nike has.
Oh, have they now?
Yeah. In a major fucking way.
Uh-huh.
As it turns out. You guys are going to call it virtue signaling. I'm going to say it's way worse than that. This is them throwing you off the scent. This is a company that they made their fortune taking all their manufacturing and all their jobs out of this country and bringing it to Indonesia. When we were growing up, me and you, pussy, the word Nike was synonymous with sweatshops. Child labor. People were dying in their fucking factories. They were paying them fucking pennies for the day. This ironically looked a lot like fucking slavery. And you know what actually fucked me up? That had already occurred to me. The irony of that had already occurred to me. And then I saw a fucking Breitbart article. Ooh. Yeah, that was saying the same thing. I don't want to be having the same opinion as Breitbart. That's a fucking right-wing jizrag fucking propaganda factory. Fuck that shit. But they're fucking right. This is a company that has actively fucking contributed to the fucking disenfranchisement of fucking everybody in this country. All right? Taking the fucking money out of the economy and putting it into their fucking pockets. All right? And contributing to fucking pain and suffering all around the fucking world. But now they want to be the social justice hero. Yeah. Isn't that fucking extremely interesting?
Nike's apparently very into social justice. I mean, look, they have Colin Kaepernick, right? They have Colin Kaepernick in their commercials. They're featuring him. They're supporting him, right? They must believe what he says to give him that platform and risk everything by putting a pariah in their commercials. Yeah. Do you remember what I said earlier about them extending their deal with the NFL through 2028? So they're embracing Kaepernick and his politics through one side of their face, and through the other side of their face, they're embracing the opposite party that Kaepernick is suing for basically discrimination and and you know what this and look what they did with the shoes on fire and the people fucking flipping out and the right pointing the finger at the left. You know who else does this? Vladimir Putin.
You found it. You found the conspiracy.
Vladimir Putin.
You're not wrong though. It's a fucking very divisive, fucking they knew what they were doing. This is the thing, by the way. And in terms of them, tanking their own fucking company. Guys, you're running around and you're saying fucking Nike has destroyed their own company. I can't believe they fucking done this. They're so stupid. Even I think yesterday, Trump tweeted.
It's so stupid.
Trump tweeted, "What was Nike thinking?" ? They would not have done this if they didn't have absolute 100% certainty that this was going to be something that was going to benefit them.
This is genius.
Otherwise, they would not have done it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just saw a fucking article today. I included it in my little music video. This is September 8th. Fucking Nike's online sales are up 31%.
The people who say that Nike, this was a mistake for them, it obviously wasn't, because they're going to get...
They know what they have 10 to 20 year fucking projections of the consequences of this decision.
Because they are in bed with Kaepernick and the NFL, and they get both of their audiences, they are making money from both sides of the aisle. And on top of that, if you really think that anything dude, they are trading in their common stock higher than they ever have in the history of their company. They may be down from their absolute high by like $2, which is nothing. And now, yeah, their online sales apparently, according to one article, jumped by 31%. Who's saying that? And, dude, listen, you already bought the sneaker and then fucking set it on fire. You fucking idiot.
It wasn't stupid at all. It was extremely calculated, very manipulative.
It was genius.
It was terrifyingly genius.
Yeah.
Terrifyingly fucking genius.
This is an example of one of the possibly one of the best advertisement campaigns in modern history.
If there's anybody listening to this and you feel like you want to stand with Nike after this, and you feel like, you know, you're happy with this and you're fucking like, yeah, Nike, fuck yeah. Well, I think you're dumber than the fucking people setting their shoes on fire, honestly. Mm-hmm. Because at least those people recognize this for the hypocrisy that it is.
Yeah.
All right. They're using you. We've been down this road. They don't give a fuck about police brutality. They themselves in this situation have a long history
of brutality themselves.
Of brutality themselves.
Yeah.
And taking money, again, out of this economy, putting it into their own fucking pockets. Guys, they love the status quo. They don't want anything to change.
They have offshore accounts as well. It was discovered in the Paradise Papers leaks.
I'm taking it a step further. The only reason that they threw themselves behind this cause is because they knew that in doing so, again, would not address the root of the problem, which is something that they're contributing heavily to: income inequality. And you know what? In one fell swoop, they threw everybody off the fucking scent, and they got themselves all this social justice brownie points. You gotta tip your hat to the fucking genius of this.
Look, they're into social justice. They're donating to Colin Kaepernick's campaign, his foundation, his Know Your Rights camp. You know, I read this book, the new Jim Crow. I think I mentioned it earlier. You're actually leaning on it right now. This book came out in 2010. It's a pretty decent book. I would suggest people read it if they haven't. I would say that personally, I agree with about 50% of what's in there.
It's not a ringing endorsement of you liking it.
Well, there's a lot of good information in there. There's a lot of good information in there. There's also a lot of, like I said, there's some people out there that maybe they're promoting a little bit of disinformation about what's actually going on. I don't know why. They have some type of ideological narrative that they have to keep. It's certainly the case for the new Jim Crow. Okay, the case of the new Jim Crow is we have this narrative for why there is mass incarceration. We need to depict it as an analogy to Jim Crow back in the 1800s. And now everything that we argue with regards to why mass incarceration exists, we have to argue it through that lens. So when you come across something in the mass incarceration data that doesn't necessarily correspond with that narrative, you have to back away from it and ignore it or dismiss it.
That's a big part of the problem. That's one of the things I was talking about earlier.
That's ideology.
And the dangerous thing about that is it stops problems from getting solved.
Yeah.
If you're ignoring aspects of reality, this is one of those things where it's like, because this is a topic where, there's going to be like left-leaning people listening to this right now, and they're going to be saying like, hey, that's fucked up. That's, maybe that's racist. But to me, it's almost like, on the right, when you have all these people who will fucking willfully ignore climate change data because it doesn't fit their narrative. So you see, you have all these fucking things going on, and these fucking facts exist, but people don't want to accept them because it doesn't fucking fit their narrative or their goals.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So they fucking bury it or they ignore it, and the problem sits there and gets worse. But meanwhile, if you fucking acknowledged it and you talked about it and you explored it, then you can maybe begin to try to find solutions to it, right?
Yeah. The point is, if you have a narrative that you have to stick to, if you have an ideology that is rigid, and most political ideologies are rigid, on the left and on the right. If you there's no way to meet somebody in the middle. Not everybody in this country is going to believe the same thing or value the same thing. It doesn't mean that they can't get along, and it doesn't mean that they're bad. It doesn't mean that they're bad because somebody thinks differently than you. But if you're just gonna, if you have that narrative that you have to stick to, and now facts come along that don't correlate with that narrative, you either call it fake news, or you dismiss it, or you ignore it.
Or you say it's racist.
Or you say it's racist, or you point the finger and whatever. Yeah. Listen, this is. I said this, I think, in one of the last few episodes. I was talking about middle of the road politics, and there's people in the comments that are they took a giant shit on it. They took a giant, no, it doesn't work, leads to banana republics and this and that.
I saw that. Yeah,
you got to do this, you got to do that. Hey, listen, I could be wrong, but the point I'm trying to make is this, and this is very topical to all of these issues we're talking in this episode. It's okay to have values. It's okay to set standards and principles. It's okay to believe what you believe in your heart is right. But you have to hold on to that, especially if you're an activist or you're a politician, you want to get involved in the political arena, you have to hold on to those values. But at the same time, you have to be malleable and pragmatic and reasonable enough to approach someone that you may presently deem your enemy and have an actual conversation with them and try to come to a mutual understanding. That's what middle of the road politics is.
That's what democracy is supposed to be.
That's what democracy is, and that's what we are missing in this country for at least the past 6, 7, 8 years, maybe even longer than that. So if you want to sit here and you want to say what I'm saying is unreasonable, now I get it. There's a lot of things wrong with the political system, and it's not just snap your fingers and everybody can come to the table. And there's a lot of money involved, and there's a lot of lobbyists involved. I get it. But I'm saying if you want politics to work, that's the only way it's going to work. And if you say, no, fuck you, you're wrong, maybe I am. But the way I feel, honestly, what I really believe is that the farther and farther and farther you move away from the center and you go to the extremes on the left or on the right, the worse this country is going to become. And the only way that it's going to reset itself to where the politics is normal and people can talk to each other who have disagreements with each other without being called a racist or a fucking troll. What do the right call people?
Cuck
or a cuck or a racist. The only way that this is going to rectify itself is possibly fucking violence in the streets. And why?
That serves nobody except Vladimir Putin.
Vladimir Putin. I'm telling you, you're fucking falling straight into the goddamn trap of the fucking KGB of Russia. This is what they do. This is what they want.
So in my opinion, the root of the fucking issue here is income inequality. And Nike has fucking been contributing to that for decades. Harkening back to kind of to what you were just talking about. There's people I've argued with about this, and they'll defend a company like Nike for the offshoring and the outsourcing and shit like that, because well, you know what, man, we wanted like too much money. Like if they gave us the wages that we need to live, then they wouldn't be able to operate as a fucking company anymore. But I don't know how they can argue that when the salaries and the bonuses of these fucking CEOs are public. They're just there for anybody to look at. You could go look at that anytime you want. You did see the article recently with fucking Jeff Bezos. Wait a second.
Yeah, well, when
you're gonna, he makes the median Amazon employee's salary every 9 seconds. Are you gonna really sit there and tell me that this fucking guy deserves that or needs that?
Yes. I'm going to say yes personally.
You are?
Personally, I would say yes.
Okay, why?
Because he especially in the case of Jeff Bezos, he put in the work, he does the work, he works hard. This is what he wanted, and he made it happen. He made it come true. I don't think personally that Jeff Bezos and people like Jeff Bezos are the problem. I think when people who have that type, I don't know everything about Jeff Bezos, so I can't say that to be sure. But I think the problem is that it's not income inequality, and it very well may be. I'm not assuming to be right or that I have the answers. I'm just saying my perspective. It's not so much income inequality as it is what do the people with money, what do they do with it? If you have somebody who has a massive amount of wealth and they decide that they're going to use it to influence Congress to enact, like fucking like Randian type of economics and fucking free markets. Like that's going to destabilize the entire country. It's going to destabilize democracy.
I'm saying that we're already fucking there.
I don't think so.
I'm saying we're already fucking there.
I don't think we're there. I think everybody in this country has it a lot better than they realize. And I think that's part of where I would go with regards to criticizing in a respectful way, criticizing, like the mass incarceration arguments and the police accountability arguments. I think that this country is a lot better than we realize it is, and everybody in this country is a lot better off than they realize they are. Again, it's not perfect, and there's a lot of things that we need to do to make things better, but I think to point the finger, personally, at Jeff Bezos, at Elon Musk, at anyone who has $1 billion, it's not necessarily helpful.
You're not poor, right?
Me personally?
Yeah.
No, I'm not poor.
You didn't grow up poor. You grew up middle class. And
Yeah.
you grew up with that kind of quality of life.
Well, you got to remember, I mean,
We went to Catholic school.
We're talking,
You paid the tuition.
but we're talking like between now and when we were kids and when we
Inflation,
grew up.
sure.
I mean, the generation before us had a lot better opportunities and didn't have to go into massive amount of debts in order to get those opportunities. Our generation, they have less opportunities, less lucrative opportunities, and to be eligible to receive those opportunities, they have to go into massive amount of debt, specifically student debt.
But yet you're making the argument that we have it really good right now.
Yeah, I think we do.
That Americans have it really good right now.
Yeah, I think Americans have it a lot better than they realize they have it. I think that people like to be angry and people like to feel like they're victims.
Okay, so Jeff Bezos continues to take $28,000 every 9 seconds or whatever.
Well, you know how that works.
Without putting it back into the fucking economy.
Well, how do you know? How do you know what he's doing with his money?
I can tell you what he's not doing.
First off,
he's not giving it to his employees.
First off, when we say his wealth fluctuates, what we're really talking about is how much stock he has invested, essentially. His ownership percentage in Amazon. So when people say, he's made $1 trillion, he's made $500 million today. He probably makes a salary, but his salary is not $500 million. They're talking about his wealth, his value, and his value is inherent in the company. If the value of the company goes down, so does his perceived wealth. You see what I'm saying? He's rich. He's got a lot of money. He's probably has a salary
he's certainly got the ability, and the company certainly has the ability to pay their median employee well over $28,000 a year.
Yeah, I would. Well, I don't know about that. You don't know the financials of the company.
You're
especially considering they're growing so fast. That's the thing. I believe that everybody should be paid a living wage, a good wage, and that is different. What that wage is, the amount of that wage is different, state by state, city by city, town by town. It is.
I think that you're being intellectually dishonest.
In what regard?
That you're not gonna say that you said that this guy deserves and needs to make money on that scale.
Do you believe? I don't think he needs to make money on that scale, but I think that if
he's got to take that home and not put that into the fucking economy by paying his workers more. How sustainable do you think that is? How much longer do you think that's going to be able to go on?
Well, then,
because the economy at some point, when no one has any fucking money, because it's all with the 1%, yeah. How are they going to maintain that wealth? How is this economy going to sustain itself when nobody has spending money?
You're right. That's a big part of the problem.
It's coming, and it's coming probably soon.
Income inequality absolutely is a problem. It absolutely is a problem. If you are just like when I said with regards to the political spectrum, if the right and the left continue to go in opposite directions towards the extreme, it's going to result in violence and bloodshed in the country. Hold on. The same exact thing can be said with regards to income inequality. If the amount of income continues to funnel up and up and up and up, and less people, the middle class shrinks and more people fall into poverty, then yes, there will also be that equal type of uprising in a situation like that, and violence, and trying to reset things, the social order, so to speak. That's the thing about the United States. That's the thing about people who make money, is that a lot of them realize that. Now, should people be paid a living wage? They should. Is it shitty that people who work for Amazon aren't making as much as they should, or people at Walmart have to also collect food stamps? Oh, absolutely. There is a fucking evil element to it. But to just make a blanket statement that is the reason why this country is going to hell, it's maybe a small part of it with a small part of individuals.
They're taking their jobs to other countries. They're doing it so they can increase their profit margin.
Yeah, that's what companies
and that's hurting.
do.
But and I mean that's hurt in the situation where you have the gross amount, and like I said, these numbers are public. Anybody can go look at them anytime. I think when you look at those fucking bonuses and those salaries, and you still say to yourself, like, yeah, well, if they didn't fucking do that, then the company wouldn't be able to operate. You're just,
well, they might not.
You're full of shit.
They might not, because Amazon's not as far as I understand, and I don't know too much about Amazon's financials, but they're expanding very, very, very rapidly. They don't pay a dividend to their stockholders. They don't pay their employees as much as they could, or as much as they certainly should. What are they doing with the money? Is Jeff Bezos taking all that money and just fucking like using it to wipe his ass and jerk off? He could be, but I don't think so. He's using it to build a fucking empire. Is that what he wants? Yeah. Does he need a lot of capital for that? Yeah. Should that come at the expense of workers? No. And that's a problem. And that needs to be addressed. And that should be by fucking politicians who should be on the side of workers. And there should be more labor unions.
You agree with that?
Of course I agree with that. But to really sit here and say, oh, you don't need that money. It's like, well, we don't know what they're actually doing. What if Elon Musk is a fucking genius? He comes up with all of these crazy ideas, and God knows what else he's thinking about. If you don't have the money to fund that, then you can't do anything.
It's their personal take-home salaries and bonuses that are publicly available. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, well, you want to know something? CEOs
I don't know how much of these people reinvest that take-home money into projects for their company.
Yeah,
I don't know how much that happens.
That probably
I could see Elon Musk doing it, honestly, but that's about it.
Yeah, it could be. CEOs.
I'm not saying that the answer to this problem is, socialism or something. I'm because I believe in capitalism. I do. I just think it needs to be. There's got to be more transparency. There's got to be more fucking accountability.
Yes.
There's got to be more fucking accountability.
Yeah.
That's where there needs to be more accountability. And not, for cops. Because again, I don't think we should completely ignore that problem and say that that's not real. There is something going on there. But you know what? I think a lot of that energy and a lot of that focus would be better spent investigating the root cause of why those communities look like that. And it's what I'm talking about.
Well, according to Kaepernick, and according to Michelle Alexander, who wrote the new Jim Crow, and according to a lot of people who want to get involved in that type of talk, it's purely racism. Kaepernick talks about mass incarceration a lot as well. One thing he said was, and it's not just him, a lot of people have said this. They've said that the United States has the largest prison population in the history of humanity. And I think the The figure that they often use is from a 2009 study, I think, which puts the figure at like 2.2 million people. Sounds like a lot, right? And it is a lot. And it is the most right now. Actually, I looked up from the United States Bureau of Justice Statistics, I think it's called, the most recent statistics for people imprisoned in state and federal penitentiaries, and at the end of 2016 it was 1.5 million. So there does seem to be some type of improvement over those 7 years or however long it's been, and hopefully it continues in that trend. So the problem might actually be getting better. And you know what's funny? In Colin Kaepernick, in this Amnesty International video from this year, he uses the 2.29 figure. Well, actually, he says 2.2 million people are locked up. The real figure is 2.29, I believe. He uses that 2.2 figure from 10 years ago. It's like, Colin, like, dude, there's newer data that reflects something a little bit more accurate.
You'd think with the fund and everything,
but,
they'd have current, up-to-date
but maybe that doesn't work with the narrative that they've been trying to spin. Maybe that's part of the problem. You know what else doesn't work? Guess what? The United States isn't the biggest incarcerator in the history of humanity. They're not. They may be right now, but all you need to do is look at the 20th fucking century, the history of the 20th century. Look at Nazi Germany. Look at the Soviet fucking Union. Look at Pol Pot's Cambodia. Look at Maoist China. Between the concentration camps, the forced labor camps, the slave labor camps, and then on top of that, after they're done with these people, or while these people are in these camps, just fucking kill them and throw them in mass fucking graves, the Khmer Rouge killing fields, fucking Mao's Cultural Revolution, the Soviet Union gulags, the fucking Nazi the Holocaust. Like, are you really going to sit here and you're going to fucking say that in the history of humanity, the United States imprisons more people in the entire fucking history? What do you fucking call that shit?
I mean, it's bad that there's this many people in the prison system.
There's about 100 million in the 20th century, Mike.
The fact that, people are going to say that it's the biggest incarcerator in the history of Earth is... That's kind of fucked up.
Come on. I mean, like, we're being fucking disingenuous here, and I'm fucking sick of it. And the worst part about it is that the people on the left continue to espouse this when it should be the people on the left who are fucking pulling it back in and saying, hey, maybe we're going just a little too far right now, and that we could actually do more actual social justice if we reel it back in a little bit. Again, can't do that because that's going towards the middle, and middle of the road politics is for stupid people, apparently.
You know what else is for stupid people?
This podcast?
Not only that, but also setting your shoes on fire.
Yeah, that's pretty stupid.
Guys, you're not accomplishing anything. The only thing you're accomplishing is you're giving the fucking writers for the Jimmy Fallon show like material for jokes, and me, I guess. This is not the first time that fucking right wing people started destroying shit and fucking protest. What was the last? Was blenders or something?
What blenders?
Or fucking vacuums or something recently?
Oh my god, what the fuck are you talking about? Blenders and vacuums?
Wait a second. All right, I found it. So what happened was, fucking Keurig was advertising on Sean Hannity's show, and he was talking about how fucking Roy Moore dude isn't a pedophile, blah, 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 blah. And then someone fucking tweeted it at them, and they were like, oh, thanks for letting us know. We're pulling our advertisements off of the Sean Hannity show. And all the right-wing people started like taking videos of themselves fucking smashing their Keurig machines. You know, the coffee fucking thing?
Jesus.
I mean, it's gotta be, that's like a luxury form of protest. Like, when you fucking can destroy fucking expensive fucking pieces of technology.
Well,
I don't know how expensive a Keurig machine is, but you can fucking buy a new thing that does that. Is there another company that you could buy it from? One that doesn't,
Michael,
one that supports pedophiles? Is there a fucking a company that makes single fucking serving coffee cups that does support pedophiles that you guys can go replace your Keurig machines with?
Yeah.
Does that exist?
I think we,
because now you're fucked. You have all the Keurig cups, but now you can't use them.
Mike, I smell a new market. We can break into this. We can break into So
they're destroying the Keurig machines. They're destroying the fucking the socks and the shoes. You're not accomplishing anything. You're just looking like assholes. Just stop. Just please don't.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's better than breaking into a store and then breaking a Keurig machine they didn't buy.
Yeah, I guess.
You know, it's better than busting down like the doors of fucking Nike at one of their stores in Manhattan and fucking ramshacking the fucking place. You know what I mean? Like, I guess.
Well, the company did something. I own this thing, and the people that made it did a thing that I didn't like. So I'm gonna destroy this thing.
You know what this reminds me of?
You're not hurting them. You're not.
I recently I was talking to someone. I was talking to a Tinder date. I think it was a Tinder date, and she said she was going to the movies. I said, "Oh, what movie are you gonna go see? You're gonna go see?" I think at the time like a Tom Cruise movie, the Mission Impossible, whatever. Who gives a fuck? It was a Tom Cruise movie just came out, and she said, I said, "Oh, what are you gonna see? Mission Impossible?" You know, I figured, well, you know, that's the movie that's coming out. It's a popular movie. Maybe she sees it. No, and she said no, she's not gonna see that, and she would never do it because she doesn't like Tom Cruise because of his Scientology connections. I guess you know what? That's a fair point, I guess. But then I said to myself, well. If you apply that logic, then you could probably find a reason to never watch any movie.
Yeah.
Because there's probably someone somewhere, especially in these fucking Hollywood blockbuster movies, who has probably done like something atrocious and continues to do something atrocious. And it's probably like a PA. Like you
oh shit, the grip.
You know, it's probably like the
best
grip.
boy.
Yeah, it's probably.
Oh, the best boy turned out to not be the best boy. Can't watch anything that he's ever worked on ever again.
But this logic can apply to products. It's like, okay, we bought this product. Now, we have a political reason to not like it. So what do we do with it? Destroy it because we don't like it now? It's like, but you still want to drink coffee, don't you?
The sneakers were $200 and now they're a pile of ash and Nike is continuing its fucking advertising campaign. Believe me, I don't like it either. All right? The fucking hypocrisy makes me it's giving me cancer.
Yeah.
I can't fucking do it anymore. I hate everything.
Yeah, me too.
I hate everything. Like, I hate everybody. Everybody's fucking full of shit. Everybody's a hypocrite.
Except the people who listen to this podcast.
Except the people who listen to this podcast.
We love you.
This is where I think we need to end. I have one final thing that I think I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
And it's the reason that they're doing it is because Nike is virtue signaling. It all comes back to the fucking virtue signaling. And now, after this ad campaign, and after the last several episodes, and people, you know, trying to inform me on this, I think we both maybe have a better idea of what it is now. And I guess the question that I'll ask you is, do these companies have a right to weigh in on social issues? Is it something that they should do and not face any kind of backlash for? Like, do you think it's okay? Now, I mean, we know they're full of shit.
You're talking about
hold off on the fact that they're full of shit for 1 second.
That's kind of.
I know it is.
Kind of hard. I
know it is
to divorce yourself from that fact.
But pretend that Nike actually does believe in the cause of social justice.
Okay.
And you know they want to stop police brutality and you know everything that Kaepernick stands for is you know not I was gonna say stands for but kneels for, right? Is it their place to do that? Is that something that you think? Like, you know, Kaepernick himself, like, he's got a platform, you know. You can apply, I'm saying company, but you could apply it to celebrities. Because, you know, you see that a lot, especially from the right, where it's like, why doesn't, what's his fucking name? The fucking, why doesn't Robert De Niro just shut the fuck up and, you know, act? You know, why don't these guys just why does Bono shut the fuck up and sing songs?
Oh, you're talking about Trump.
You're a singer, you're not a fucking, Bono actually just lost his voice, but
yeah, he did.
You're a singer. You're not a politician. Don't talk about politics.
You know what the problem is?
Is that? What do you think about that?
You know what that is?
What is it?
It's called activism. That's what it's called. It's called activism.
So, because I mean, the alternative is anybody who finds themselves in a position of having a platform, be it a corporation or an individual. You know, what are they supposed to never say anything about how they feel about a thing?
No, you could say how you feel about a thing, but once you decide to get involved in an issue, especially an issue that maybe doesn't necessarily have anything to do with you, really, like think about, you can look. I, for example, I agree with a woman's right to choose. I agree with reproduction rights, birth control, and all that. I have less on the line with regards to that topic because I'm a guy. I'm not going to give birth. I'm not going to get pregnant, and I don't need to take birth control.
You're butt preg right now. You're M-preg.
Yeah, my moomb. The man womb, the moomb.
You're looking pretty. You look like you might be in like your fucking third trimester. Actually.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm butt preg or if it's just a really big log of shit. It comes back to shit, doesn't it? Why?
All right, so reproductive rights, which
no, well, listen, that's the thing. All these issues that come up, all these issues that are prevalent, a lot of them maybe more have to do with a certain type of person than. It's more specified to a certain type of person. A woman's right is more specified to a woman than it is a man. The rights with regards to, in the 60s, the civil rights movement, it regarded itself more importantly to blacks than it did to whites. But if you're not part of that group that's facing this issue, and you decide to get involved in the issue, either for or against, you become an activist. There are plenty of companies that do that. There are plenty of people who do it. It's a form of life for people and for companies. It's like there are people out there who aren't political at all. They just want to fucking go about their days and not be bothered with politics. They are not activists. They might have their opinions on things. They don't feel the need to express their opinions on things. That's probably most people, I would imagine. It's probably what the actual silent majority of people in this country are. Because just to maybe this isn't necessarily going to prove the point, but if you look at just the amount of people who show up to fucking vote, in random elections, most people who are eligible to vote don't turn out. Look at the turnout for the last New York City mayor's race. It was one of the lowest turnouts in the history.
That should be the primary form of activism. That should be the primary form of protest.
Well, listen.
So few people do it.
Well, here's the thing. In that situation specifically, you need more candidates. You need more candidates who are credible and actually stand a chance against fighting against the Democrats' fund and the Republicans' fund.
You need more parties. I've said that many times.
It's not just that you need more parties. The parties need to be less radical than the ones that exist now. They need to be more moderate, and they need to be able to match the money, because the money that the Democrats can raise and the Republicans can, and it's never going to happen. It's not going to happen with a big push of the reset button.
That's what's fucking said.
That's either going to happen in one or two ways. If it does happen, maybe at least one or two ways. There's multiple other ways. And again, it's the people on the left and the right are going too far, and they push further to the extremes before everything fucking blows up and this country's turned upside down. Or, like you were talking about income inequality, the people at the top continue to accrue so much, and they actively repress everyone else. I
think that is a much bigger part of the issue than a lot of people think it is.
Or comet hits the fucking planet.
Because dude, when people have money and are feeling good about their life, they're not gonna fucking turn to drugs. They're not gonna turn to crime.
There are people who exist who aren't rich and have no money, who don't necessarily turn to drugs and live content lives. There's gotta be. It's not an impossibility. So it's not just one thing. What it is if all of the ideas of income inequality become true, the worst ideas, if the worst visions of income inequality come to be, then that will happen. There will be that uprising. But as things stand right now, I don't see that happening. I don't necessarily see us going in that direction. I think, I mean, like, most people walk around with fucking iPhones in their fucking pockets. You know what I mean? Like, you have the ability to play games.
I want to close it out with this because I've been thinking a lot about the virtue signaling bullshit. And I mean, now, you know, acknowledging that Nike is full of shit, right? They call it virtue signaling. And the thing that really pisses me off about the fact that these companies are doing this and people are applauding it.
Can you define it real quick?
You want me to define fucking virtue signaling? I'm still struggling with that. But basically the idea that you're fucking displaying what you believe for the benefit of having people be like, oh my God, wow. Oh my God, yay. Oh my God, oh yay, oh good, oh. Yeah, but you know what the fucking truth of it is?
What?
What does it really cost you to fucking make a signal? In the case of an advertiser, you know, yeah, it costs you a bit of money to make the commercial. But you know what, man? I'd like to see some of these fucking companies express their virtues with actions instead of signals. You know what I mean?
And the most direct action would be pay your fucking
Pay
employees.
your fucking employees! Stop taking your jobs overseas! And fucking endorsing slavery and taking advantage of slavery. And fucking last year, Nike, who's supposed to have gotten so much better since the fucking 90s, right? Since we were kids, when they actually fucking had children, fucking sewing fucking shoes together with fucking hands filled with fucking holes and shit.
Blood.
And blood.
Yeah.
Last year, started turning people away from the fucking factories. The fucking inspectors. The fucking welfare inspectors for the fucking working conditions. It's like a nonprofit. Goes around and inspects all these fucking companies, work conditions and shit. And they showed up last year, and for the first time since, I think the 90s, right? Because they did face a big PR backlash for all that shit. Nike was like, nah. And they were like, what do you mean? We got to come in and make sure that there's not kids in there and people fucking and dead bodies and shit. And they're like, nah, you're not doing that. See ya. And fucking turned them away, and they did not let them in. And as far as I know, that's still fucking happening. What? Why isn't Nike letting people into the fucking factories?
Where are most of these factories?
Indonesia.
Indonesia?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think we could figure out why they're not letting them in there.
But you know why? You know why you're not going to see these companies expressing their virtues with actions?
Because they don't fucking have any virtues?
Yes, pussy. Yes. So, I mean, that to me is why I think that's the main reason why I despise virtue signaling. If they walked the walk of the shit that they were putting out there, I might respect it. But they don't do that. It's just the same blatant, disgusting hypocrisy over and over and over again. Saw it with Coca-Cola. Saw it with the Ram trucks. And we're seeing it again.
Yep. And we're not done seeing it.
I'm real fucking tired of looking at it, so that's unfortunate.
Well, maybe I can end with an inspirational quote.
Please.
Okay. You remember I was talking about Nate Boyer before? Nate Boyer was the former NFL player and former Green Beret who spoke to Kaepernick while he was still sitting at the anthems and convinced Kaepernick to at least kneel. So I got a nice little quote from him. The men who have followed in Kaepernick's footsteps say they are not protesting the anthem itself. They are demonstrating during the anthem. It's an important distinction to understand. Personally, I do not endorse Kaepernick's method of protest, but I absolutely support his right to do so. That is an unpopular place to stand these days, in the radical middle, defending someone you somewhat disagree with.
It's beautiful.
People, you want to look at fucking Colin Kaepernick? Maybe you should look at his friend, Nate Boyer. Maybe we should start paying a little bit more attention to this guy, because he seems like he knows what he's fucking talking about.
Well, I don't watch football, so I'm not going to be doing that anytime soon. I'm also not going to read any of this. I got video games to play. All right. Well, this hasn't been a very chuckle-filled episode, but I think it's been. I think we touched on a lot of actually like legitimately important shit here.
Yeah, I hope we did. I hope we did, and I hope we did a good job. We again, we saw this commercial, Everybody's talking about it. Last I checked, I mean, like the commercial's only been on YouTube for like 4 days or something like that. And last I checked, it was up to almost 14 million views. I mean, it's only going to keep on going up higher. Nike is making a lot of money off of this.
Yeah, they're fine, guys. They're not stupid.
Colin Kaepernick's making a lot of money off of this. He's not a victim here. The only way he's a victim is that he lost his job in the NFL. Hey, Colin, enjoy your brain now, because you're not going to get fucking concussions and fucking injuries for the rest of your life. So Colin's making money. Nike's making money. And guess what? The NFL's making money too. So you want to know something? Everybody's happy. I'm not! Everybody's happy. Everybody's happy. Thanks for tuning in.
Have an awesome night, guys. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next month. I'm gonna play that song again. Play it out.
Yeah.
It's gonna play us off with that. I'm proud of it.
Yeah.
Cut my socks into pieces. Remove the black check mark. Masturbation as eating. Want my gym socks? Now I gotta do cleaning. Teaching them a lesson about virtue signaling. Would it be wrong? Would it be right? If I toss my shoes tonight, make some sports, that'd be tight. Nike can go fly.